Hi everyone. Today we're going to make some ice fishing poles. I've had a lot of people send me messages and ask me how I made them. So I'm not, this is a different one than what I usually been giving away on YouTube. But these are all made out of white ash. This piece is going to be the handle. This is 1 inch by 1 inch by 10 inches long. The rod is going to be, this is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch by 24 inches long. This is longer than you need. But I usually screw up on the ends once in a while, so I leave it a little bit longer so I make sure I got it right. And this is going to be for the line winder. And this piece is 5/16 thick. It's 1 inch wide by 3 1/4 inches long. So first we'll start off with the handle. I got to drill a hole in this and then we'll put it in the wood lathe and we'll take it from there. Let's go set the drill press up. Okay, I got the piece in the drill press. One thing you need to do is get a little torpedo level, because this has to be level with the drill, both sides. So I'm as close as I'm going to be, and I'll be honest with you, it never comes out perfect every time. Just sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. So we'll drill this hole real quick. Alright, it's not drilled as deep as I want it right now. Right now it's just a guide to keep it as straight as I could possibly keep it and centered as I can keep it. In the end, I'm going to drill this 2 1/2 inches deep. Now let's go over to the lathe and we'll turn this up and then we'll start on the rod. I think the handle turned out pretty decent. There's still some rough marks in it, but this stuff is not kiln dry. This is just rough cuts lumber. So you're never going to get it super smooth unless I spend an hour sanding it. But I took it over to the disc sander and I rounded the edges top and bottom. So I think we're pretty good there for the handle. Now this I got off of, and I wrote all this stuff down. I got this off of Izzy Swan's YouTube channel. It's a dowel maker, which works sweet. And then all my, let's see, I start off with a 1/2 inch, and then I go to 15/32, then 7/16, and then back up to 13/32, which is the inside diameter of a 30-06 casing. And that, let me get one here. This little bugger, this is going to be my guideline for the middle of the rod. And I just soldered that in there, took my little Dremel with a grinder and smoothed it all up so it'd slide on the rod itself. So let's put this in the vise, and this right here, let me get this, if it shows up really good. All this is I took my disc grinder, my little Dremel, and I just cut like a pizza. I just went across, trying to get it so it shows it all. I guess maybe this one's the best. I just cut it, I grounded it straight down, and I cut it like a pizza. So it's got 8 lines all the way around it, and that's what's cutting the dowel. But when you do this, you can't just make one size and try to run it through there, because that dowel will not, it'll turn out terrible. So like I said, I went up every 2 sizes from 1/2 inch all the way till I got to my 13/32 for my 30-06 casing. All right, I locked my dowel maker into the vise. I rounded both ends of the dowel so it'll start easier on the dowel maker. So let's make our rod. Okay, now we're going to taper down. I got the rod stuck in a little 12-volt Craftsman drill here. Better turn this on. I wear a glove because this wood gets hot, because this is 50 grit sandpaper and it takes it down pretty fast. That's pretty close to a 22 shell end. I'm going to do some sanding on it. First we'll go back over to that dowel maker and I'll shove this little tip right in there about the length of a 22 shell. Alright, that's about the length of a 22 shell, so we'll do some sanding on it. There. That's the rod all sanded up. Now, I gotta find some 22 shells to make sure we get that right. Well, I don't have any 22 shells, so looks like we're gonna have to go shoot some real quick. I use these CCI stingers. I like the silver tips and the 30-06 casings. I also I think they're made by Winchester, and they're silver casings also. So we'll load this up, go outside and shoot, try to find something to shoot at. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. The only thing I had to shoot at was The neighbor, he had a pop can on his tractor. Man, this is going to need some oil. So I decided to shoot the pop can off his tractor. I didn't hit that can once. Just kidding. Okay, now that I got some empty 22 casings, I'm just sliding this on the rod tip and then I'm pushing it on the rest of the way. You can see it split all the wood around the outside edge. Now we're just going to take a knife and trim it up. Because you want that shell on there really tight. That revolver, I just got that about 3 days ago. My first revolver. What a fun little pistol to shoot. Alright, so there it is. Now we have to glue that on. But right now there's the rod. Here's the handle. So it's slowly coming together. Now let's make the line winder real quick. Now the line winder, which is going to end up looking like this in the end. I already have a jig made up because I try to make, when I do these, I try to make 15 at a time. So same thing, this is 3 1/4 inches wide. There's 2 little holes right here. They are 3/8 inch in from each end and then a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. And I just use that as a jig. So when I go to drill them, I don't have to measure each and every time. Okay, so now, we'll go to the drill press and drill these out real quick. Okay, I just put in a 1/2 inch Forster bit. Any 1/2 inch drill bit will work. I don't take it all the way through. Just flip it over, find a little hole, bring it back through there. And that's that little piece. Now let's go over to the vise, we'll take a file, and we'll fix her up a little bit. And I just take a file and I file this down. Don't worry about the little wood chips that break off it yet. Kind of round off the ends a little bit of it, top and bottom. Alright, I'll do that to the other side and then I will show you how to make the little curve on the top of it. Okay, this little piece, it's exactly a 1/2 inch right in the middle. From the top of the line winder right to the flat on the bottom is a 1/2 inch. Which I already have one made up, so I just trace them all the time. Once you make one, then you can, and you're happy with it, you can just save it for a pattern for the next time. Alright, now we'll go back to the drum sander and we'll sand those lines right off of there. Now we'll take her back to the Dremel. Alright, I got a little sanding drum in my Dremel, and we're just going to smooth everything up on this. The only thing left to do is I'm going to drill 2 holes the size of these nails right here, which they are just, I know they're in the wire, 16 by 1 inch. So I'm going to drill a couple holes in this, and it doesn't really matter where you drill them. I try to stay in the rounded top part where it's thick, which after I drill them I'll show it to you. And then I recess it in because these nails are flat heads, they're not finished nails. So let me go drill this and then we'll put this pole together. Okay, these are already drilled. They're drilled all the way through with, I just matched the drill bit up to the size of the nail. And then the head of it, I just matched that up so that the head just barely fits in there. You don't want it to just slide in real easy. You want it to kind of compress the wood as it goes a little bit. Okay, now I already measured 26¼ inches. That's how long I make my poles. This hole, I already drilled it the rest of the way, so that's 2½ inches in. So I just have to measure back from here 2½ inches. And I will go cut that real quick, and I will put this on the sander too and kind of round off the edges a little bit. And then we'll start gluing this thing together. Okay, it's cut, rounded off the edge a little bit. Now when you slide this in there, make sure you can see that in there. This rod tip, if you got a hole that's offset, okay, you got to find where the high spot is, where it points down. This one's about as close as we're going to get it. So we don't have to really worry about it. So now we can just glue this to this, which I'll do that real quick. Okay, now, before you put the line winder on this, you've got to make sure that the grains of the wood are all running this way, but tight up and down, okay? You don't want it the opposite way. You want those grains going with the pole. So when a fish bites, you got more strength. If you turn it 180, it'll break on you. So I already marked the top of where I want the line winder at. So now you put this on, and you just kind of eyeball it straight down with the end of the pole. Sometimes you think you got it absolute perfect, and then after you're all done you realize that, man, I was way off. So take your time with this and really look it over good. I'm still not happy with it. That's pretty good. So now I'm just going to take these nails, kind of tap them, just to leave me some marks in the wood. I might just put a little pencil mark on it, all the way across the top and back. You're not going to see this after you stain it. So there's my little nail holes that I want in the pole. So I'm going to go drill these out so that that nail goes through the rod and into, or through the handle and into the rod. Okay, I'm just going to put a little wood glue on this. Not a lot. just enough to cover that bottom. When you guys glue this, make sure you got some acetone on hand also, because you want to wipe all the glue off right off the bat, because when you stain the pole, it'll leave it some little white marks. So what we got to do now is hammer these in. I need to make a jig to hold this pole straight. Okay, those nails are in there good. Let me get a little acetone on it. Try to wipe up as much as the glue as I can. But the rod is coming together now. The only thing left to do next is I'll show you how I drill the hole in the tips, because that's really important so that you do not cut your line on the tip. So let me get the stuff set up for that. We'll start doing that. Okay, now this is the tricky part. I come back probably from the inside of the 22 casing, probably about 3/16 of an inch back. But to get this in line with the whole pole, I just put a little black mark on the end of it. And then just look down it and try to make sure that that's relatively close to being center of the pole. All right, off a little bit ain't gonna hurt nothing. So then we'll take a small little center punch. If I can hold it there. I have to be honest with you, I have a jig made up to hold all this stuff in. It may be easier to use that. I have something balance that back in. Oh yeah. Can you guys see that? Okay. This jig makes it a lot easier for me to do it. Real lightly, just with a punch, just tap it. I gotta just drill it and I'll be right back. Alright, now I drilled it just with a 1/16 drill bit. We're nowhere near being done yet. Because this is where it gets critical. Then I take a bigger center punch. I give it a decent tap. Nothing strong, just a decent little tap. Do it both sides, front and back. Okay. Now, take the next drill bit size bigger, which is whatever I got, and I drill through that again. Okay, after you drill it with the next drill bit, the next thing to do, I come back and I took a bigger center punch and I tap both sides, front and back. Okay, now, the next thing you have to do is, this is one of my little survival pocket fishing kits, but I've never really used it. You got to take the line, the fishing line. Let me move this camera up so you can see it. You got to take the fishing line and run it back and forth through there. You can do it all over different ways. And if there's any frays on it, this little, I don't know what you call it, just a little pointed Dremel piece, I just hand spin it in there by hand. Just hand spin it, and for some reason that seems to work, takes all the shavings off. And then take your fishing line again and run it through and make sure that, and put some pressure on it too. Make sure that that line has no marks and that everything is smooth on it. So that one's good. All right, let me give her a coat of stain and we'll call this rod done. All right, here's some other rods that I make too. This one, I steam them. I steam the rod ends so that they have a curve to them, which is kind of nice, but you don't need to do it. I didn't go through that process because that takes a long time. But everyone on the bay, Muscon Bay, you know, it's only 6 foot deep. And these poles are great. I mean, for people that know how to hand line, it's okay. Anything over 10 foot of water, I got, you know, a regular Fenwick with a reel on it. But inside the bay, these things are just amazing. So have fun making them. Another thing too is these little snake eyes. They're for like the fly. I don't know if you can see it. Let me zoom in on that. They're like the fly rod ends. A lot of my poles, I will tie them on too, instead of using 30-06 casings. I'll tie them on. I like those too, but they're more time consuming to do. But I will give this pole, I guess I gotta take this off, I gotta do some more sanding on it, get this down farther, or tie one of these snake eyes on. But I will polyurethane them, and then I'll put a couple cans of clear coat on them to make them really shiny. So, but I think the pole turned out okay. I guess the next thing is take you guys ice fishing and see if it works. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.